Welcome chaps and indeed chapesses to the next episode of Porsche Files. By popular request, those that have commented have begged for me to be a bit more concise and succinct. Although I probably didn't need to say succinct because that means concise anyway, so I'm already doing it. But I'm just going to try and keep this as snappy as possible. As you can see from the title of the video, it's about the 992, and instead of doing, because everyone's got their 992 towel down early on the sunbeds, haven't they? And it tends to be just specification, bit of tyre kicking, very few negative observations. I think Mr. JWW said he doesn't like what the Americans are now calling the nubbin, which is this PDK switch rather than the lever, because he can't, when he runs out of paddles on his GT3, he likes to do this. Well, you're going to have to wait, Mr. JWW, for the GT series. I'm sure they'll do something with that switch to make it more like a lever, as per the 991.2 and previous generations of PDK. We shall see. Or you could, Mr. JWW, just buy yourself a manual. Then you can do that all day long. Anyway, let's get down to the meat and to veg. You can probably hear from my voice, I've just come out of a couple of weeks of man flu. Ed's down with it again. Well, he's down with it, so it's just me on my Todd again. Anyway, let's get the 992 predictions for 2019 out of the way. I'm going to start off, big fan, Michael Mauer. I am of him. Let's start on the really positive before we get on to some of the cons. I've been on to lots of websites, lots of forums. Renlist tends to be, hey, you know, it's the market, isn't it? What the Americans want, deservedly they get. They've been since Max Hoffman was importing them in the 50s, 356s, etc. They've been pivotal in shaping how the 911 is produced, is styled, etc., and where it goes in the various market segments. So I was a little bit surprised that they were quite negative. About 70% of people were saying, I'm not going to change my 991.2 for this, it's just an update, it's a bit of a revamp. Well, I think it's more than that. I think it's extremely well done. I'll give it 9 out of 10. As I've pointed out, I'm a big fan of Michael Mauer and his team. I think they've done everything that is required of them by taking lots of the new technical functions that are required on modern cars and put it into a nice revamp, crisp, modern, rationalized series of design elements. If you take the front, pretty much everything other than the number plate, which obviously has to change from for market reasons around the world, but other than that, every other functional element is contained within that one single full width design, grille design element. Your turn indicators, the events for your rads, you've got the radar in there, which presumably doubles up for night vision option, which is now on 992. You've got the camera in there, you've got your parking sensors in there. It's all crisply done in one. I think it works. Some of you said it's a bit square rigged, but I think it works pretty well, and we're going to get used to it. Same at the rear. If you take that rear sub-bumper valance, again that rear design element within the bumper, other than the parking sensors which stay within the bumper, everything, even the number plate, is contained within this rear end. That's the PSE, not so sure about that. We'll be talking about that in a moment, high-level stoplight. But I think, you know, going back to that rear bumper valance, moulding, you've got everything in there. You've got the outtakes for the left and right turbo, even the number plates contained. And for you sort of federal or US customers, you also used to have those weird bump stops either side of the registration plate. That's now much more subtly designed into this new rear design element. So I think it works pretty well. Obviously, you've got the full width rear lights. My only reservation is that everything now looks like a corporate pan Porsche design signature with the full width light bar. That works. Hey, you know, we've been used to that on a 911. if you bought a four-wheel drive version, you always got that light bar in the middle, or certainly across all 991. So we're used to that. What I'm not particularly keen on is now this three-dimensional perpendicular Porsche script. The only thing I'd recommend there is get it in gloss black so you can't see it so much. It's a bit in your face. It's a bit like the Hollywood sign, you know, on the hills, and then it's perpendicular. And having a perpendicular fixed Porsche script, I think, is a bit too, as I said, in your face, a bit too brutal. 911s should be, other than certain GT cars, should be more subtle than that. And I think it's the only 911 now that where you can't, either with a screwdriver or with a hairdryer, remove, if ever you wanted, the actual Porsche script from the rear deck lid. That it's all part of the moulding now. So there you have it. But otherwise, I think on the whole, it's quite a brilliantly professional update. It's growing on me already. And also, this is one of the things that I am really impressed with, is the colour permutations both inside and out. A bit like waiting for the number 9 bus in the UK. You wait for an hour, nothing happens, and then 3 come at once. You probably noticed I'm quite a big fan of green as a paint colour, probably because it entered into my subconscious when I had a Sumatra green 1971 VW Beetle, which was a flat green. They were all flat in those days. Bought second-hand, my first car, and I sort of had a green fetish ever since. Used to be the kiss of death in the second-hand car market, but I've always liked green. And what you got to go back to, what, 997.2 before we, or the last of the sort of factory fit greens. I think that was a malachite. Didn't really work on Cayman, but if you could get yourself a Targa, which is obviously the four-wheel drive, wider body version of a 997.2, that DLO, the daylight opening, which had that very specific C-pillar design as opposed to the classic hockey stick on the fixed head coupe, it kind of worked. Malachite really worked with that total glazed top. Anyway, that's 997.2. But now, our cup runs though, we got 2 greens, not just one. So we got lizard green. Okay, you've got to pay extra for it, but it's still factory. It's not the manufacturer exclusive. And I'm sure it was done to piss off the GT3 RS drivers in 991.2 who thought it was only them who had lizard green. But now you can get lizard green. Yeah, would it work on the new 992? It's a lot of real estate on 992 these days. We shall see. But the really big news is Aventurine is back since 993 days. Maybe you could have got to get it on the 928 as well, but we're looking at 93, 94, sort of mid-90s when that was knocking around. That's going to be very interesting. But not only that, they've given us 2 green leathers as well. Agave and, what is it called, leaf green, something like that. So really, our cup really does run us over. But no, they haven't even stopped there. You can now get 2 wheel styles with gold, with Aurum gold. OEM from Zuffenhausen. Are they trying to tell us something here? One cynical OPC salesman said to me that they want to induce people away from going towards manufacturer exclusive, going for the PTS, etc. Simply because, what's the average spend these days on a 911? Let's call it $100,000. $120,000, something like that, whatever the equivalent is. With the pound these days, you can never tell. It's always changing daily with Brexit. But anyway, that's the kind of the average spend. Well, the bean counters at Zuffenhausen want your $120,000 in 3 months. They don't want it in 6 or 8 months because you peskily keep on changing your mind on what PTS you're going to get. So they're giving you a much broader palette of colours inside and out. So you've got endless permutations. But yeah, I take my hat off to them. Aurum Gold, OEM on that. Fuchs lookalike, I think it's the most expensive out of the 4 that are currently available on the 992. You can get the 5-spoke Fuchs lookalike wheel, 21 inch of course these days, excuse me. And part of it, the background, you can spray in Aurum Gold. It would look terrific, I think, on a Venturine or a Venturine, however you want to pronounce it. Right, so let's get on to predictions and really the cons that I'm concerned about with 992. Let me give you this scenario. You're a 991.2 owner. You've got a 36-month lease, which is pretty common. You're going to be one of the 70 to 80% of people that go in and lease their 911. You're going to come up probably, Q1, Q2, 2019. Your lease is coming up for renewal. You've got to start looking at an alternative. You walk into an OPC. You arrive in your 2S, 991.2, PDK, in GT Silver, because you're sensible. You want something that's tasteful, but also you're not going to get kicked in the teeth when it comes to resale and when you're chopping it in for another car. So your OPC salesperson has very sensibly said, I know you like racing yellow, Mr. or Miss Punter. I did that for a bit of BBC-esque balance there. But get GT Silver, kind of works and everything. So you walk in, can I have this 991.2 in 992 guys, please? Of course, sir, here's one we prepared earlier, because they always have this GT Silver knocking around the showroom. Da-da! Must talk about that rear stoplight. Anyway, you look at it and you think, wow, it's pretty, imposing. It's big though, isn't it? Well, yes, because it's a 4S without the 4 running gear. What do you mean? Wide bodied only, sir. Wow, that looks big and heavy. Well, how much does it weigh? Well, if you just have PDK and GT Silver, no other extras, currently it's being listed at 1,515 kilos DIN rated. 15 kilos. Yep, 1.5 metric tons, plus some. Yes, sir. Hold it a second. That's at least 55 kilos. That's 2 bags of sand, plus some. Then my 991.2. 2S. PDK. Yep. So, Porsche, prediction for 2019. The average weight now of any 911 that comes out of Zuffenhausen, production car anyway, is going to be 1.5 metric ton. Can you stop it? I know of no one, anecdotally, vicariously, or personally, or ever had the yen myself to walk into an OPC just to just about to get out my checkbook and say, you know what, I really want that 2S or that 4S. The only thing is, can you make that 991.2 just a wee bit bigger and a lot heavier? Who has ever asked for that? Nobody. So Porsche, please cut it out. Stop making cars bigger, and particularly stop making them heavier. It's not necessary, it's not clever, and I think it's not Porsche. You're just adding weight all the time. Next thing, size. Well, that kind of adds the weight. We know about that. It's wide-bodied only. That's disappointing. Maybe in the States, maybe if you're driving in Dubai, it's okay. But if you take in the UK, D roads, C roads, B roads, size, width, girth, it matters. You want something that is less dimensionally challenged. I think that's the right phrase. So Porsche, please, smaller, lighter, not bigger and fatter. Next thing, wheel size. Again, I've never walked into a Porsche showroom and said, you know what, those 20s, they look really lost under that wheel arch. Give me 21 inch. I'm not quite sure what they've done this for. It just adds weight. I mean, I'm in my 50s and I would struggle to clean and jerk a 21 inch cast flow wheel with a 305 section 21 inch tyre on it. It's too much weight. It probably looks brilliant. You've seen pictures of it. And I must say, on a positive note, the wheel range, currently 4 wheel styles for 992, probably the best wheel range I've seen for Porsche in the modern era over the last 25 years or so. They really look good. But 20-21 inch as a combo, it just makes the whole Swiss knife vibe of the production Porsches, the 911s, the lower down in the range. It just kills that vibe off. Because particularly if you're German, and I do it in the UK as well, I like to rotate winter and summer tyres. Now I've got 19 inch, which are more than ample. And I like a bit of tyre war. I like a degree of subtlety or is it suppleness? One of the two, in my drive. Lots of potholes around here, coarse driving surfaces, typical British way of metaling roads. You want something that breathes. And locking it down on a 21 inch on a 30 series tyre is not a good idea, in my opinion. Fact of the matter, and also, if you want to rotate winter and summer tyres, you want to do it reasonably inexpensively. A 21 inch winter tyre ain't cheap. And in Germany, it's compulsory. You've got to put winters on if you're using your car as a daily driver, or even using your car occasionally during the winter months. So that's the next thing. Right, the gorilla in the room. And I'm not sure whether this is going to apply to the US, because I don't know whether the Donald has enabled them to ditch or dodge the WLTP emissions regs. I've heard that the American market may not need to subscribe to this. Therefore, they are not getting this petrol particulates filter, which is on the 992, certainly in the EU. Now, if you go onto Auto, Motor and Sport's website, German website, we'll put a link in for you to follow. But, excuse me, for the first 15 seconds, there's a 4S with the PSE exhaust on it, cold startup. Well, I was never a fan of the PSE on the 991.2, but the startup on the 992 PSE, although it now looks better with those kind of Audi RS big ovoid two-pot exhausts, it makes the 991.2 sound like a V8 Maserati. It's quite challenging. My advice is just stick with the 4-pots. They probably look, in my view, they look better, and just live with the fact that the bi-turbo engine will never ever sound like the NatAsp in the 991.1 and back. There'll be plenty of compensations, I'm sure. It's a great engine. It just doesn't sound brilliant, particularly under 3,000 RPM. So that's something else to look out for. But the main thing with the particulates filter is it just adds more weight. It's another 7, depending on who you read, 7 to 10 kilos. So that's why your 992 2S with PDK weighs 1,515 kilo, because you've got more weight from the body. It's bigger for the wide-bodied version. You've got the particulates filter as well, so you're challenged from a weight what point of view, plus sonically, and you've got big fat 21 inch cast flow wheels at the rear. So I'm hoping Porsche, in their infinite wisdom, because they clearly do listen to customers, and as I said, I'm very positive about all the new colour combinations, both inside and out. Hopefully, they've only got 4 wheel styles at the moment. They will bring out a 21 inch or 21 inch combo where you can get forged OEM wheels from them as well. And even if they're £1,500 at current prices a pop per corner, you know, that's still the same kind of ballpark region of expenditure that you get on PCCBs, and they expect people with production cars rather than GT cars to buy PCCBs. Okay, it's a small minority, it's probably about 10% of customers, possibly even less, but it's out there. It's a genuine option. Why can't we have OEM forged 20-21 inch combo as a genuine option on our production series 992? Okay, so that's it. Those are my predictions. I think we're going to be talking a lot about that PSE exhaust. Moving from functional to aesthetic, as I said, I think Michael Mauer's team have done a great job. my major concern really, and I guess it's going to be like the 996, it's going to be a quirk, it's going to be almost its little design signature. And that is, oh, sorry, let's go back here. That is this, this rear stoplight. It's the only thing that I have actually seen where it actually looks like it's been designed by committee. This high-level rear stoplight. When I first saw it, I thought, oh, they're trying to do a Ron Dennis. You know, you can remember the McLaren MP4 12C, the McLaren photocopier, and the 650S. These horizontal strakes, you thought, well, where are the turn indicators? Where's the brake light? And the strakes illuminated as you activated the brake or the indicator cluster wand. Great idea. So I thought the two individual strakes which you're going to get in the rear of the car, we're still looking at the front. I thought you were going to get that, but no. You've got now they've reduced the 24 strakes, which are these big fat fingered carbon or piano black, or indeed agate painted strakes on the Carrera T as standard. These they've reduced now to, not very being very obliging, they've reduced those to 20 strakes now. You've got the 9 either side. Are they going to pan down? Yes, they are. So you've got your 9 strakes here. And notice, I think this is the 4S. So on top of the strakes, you've got these little very neat dorsal fins on the 4-wheel drive version as well. So I think that looks really sexy. Far less busy. You've got 20 rather than 24. And you've got these, there's a silver. Is this a 4? Yeah, there's a 4S. So these are silver accents, dorsal fins on top. You've got 9 either side. You've got those 2 double height strakes in the middle. I'm not getting those at all, because you would expect the expensive engineering that Porsche likes to get involved in, you would expect those 2 strakes to just illuminate red full height. They don't. You've got this floating rectangular reflector, sub-glazing, sub-flush, that floats underneath those 2 strakes, but doesn't go up to the tips and doesn't start at the bottom of the tips either of the strakes. So it just floats in the middle. So part of the strakes are illuminated when you put your foot on the brake, and the space in between the 2 central strakes are illuminated when you apply the brakes. It seems a bit odd. Excuse me. Man flu. That I don't get. It seems to be overthought, but I suspect it will go down as being a 992 characteristic. We'll get used to it, just like, well, have we got used to the 996 characteristic of those fried egg lamps, even in dot 2? I doubt it. But anyway, probably a wrong comparison there. That's the only thing that I've got cosmetically that I think that's something that could have been done much more elegantly. Why they just didn't put a very thin LED high-level stoplight at the top of the rear screen, I don't know. And you also notice this rationalization of design elements. For the first time ever, there is no painted bodywork above the grille. It's all, even though it's articulated, you know, to get your water and your oil in, and to buy your 2 fans, and to make sure you've got the right engine. Other than that, you see no paint. That articulated rear deck lid grille component, that's now black glazed. You close it, you've got a shut line, and you continue the black glazing, which is the surround where the rear view window is. So all of that is one sort of black glazed design element. I understand it. I think it looks great. You still can get rear wiper, all that kind of practical stuff. But those 2 high-level strakes for the stoplight confuses me. There apparently is an LED, I haven't seen it illuminated, under the rear side of the 992's 2-stage spoiler. I guess that operates subject to markets that it finds itself in. but I've only ever seen the central light bar and the rear light clusters on either side illuminate when the brake is applied on all of the marketing videos that have come out of Zuffenhausen so far. And I'm also assuming and estimating that in the higher of the two phases of the rear spoiler, the top part of those central rear strakes that operate as a rear stoplight are obliterated. So where's your high level stoplight? So why don't they just put it at the top of the screen, the rear screen instead? Very much along the lines of the 991.2, which you had it full width above the 24 strakes on the rear deck lid. Didn't really see it, hit the brake, it illuminated, and there it goes again. It was a nice, neat, simple solution. That elegance is lost on the 992 with that central brake light. So that's the only thing that I've got. There it is again. That's the only thing. But you see, no more paint. Just one design component, one glazed component, and the strakes then bleed into the glass element. That I like. I think that's simple, neat, tidy. But this, I'm not getting. Other than that, I think it's terrific. But I'll be very interested in how they manage weight. August Arkliner, this chap here who's retiring, who's head 992 project engineer, said there's definitely going to be a T. So how are they even going to get close to the 1425 kilos on the current 991.2 Carrera T, which I think is too heavy anyway, is beyond me. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully that was a bit more concise. Any thoughts, you know where to put them in the nicest possible way. See you next time, and drive safely. Thank you.